to another gathering of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. Have a seat by the fire as we prepare to help you unlock the secrets of the travel life. From theme park thrills to Purple Mountain's majesty, we want to see it all and do it all, and we want to help you do the same. We all have those bucket list trips, once-in-a-lifetime destinations that we'll get to someday. We're here to help you make your travel dreams a reality. Buy the ticket, take the trip. Where do you want to go?
Come on, come on, come on, now tell me what's on your bucket list. Okay, hey, okay, hey. It's a beautiful day. Okay, hey, okay, hey. It's a beautiful day.
Happy birthday! We're spending the next 18 months celebrating the Magic Kingdom's 50th anniversary and kicking it off with some weird and wonderful Disney World history. But first, travel news, including Disneyland is back in business, French wine country the Tay Tay way, and a pair of BA women of Imagineering. Grab your ears and sprinkle some pixie dust. It's time to hit the trail with the Gold Key Adventure Society! Walking right down the middle of Main Street, USA, surrounded by the sights and sounds of a long past and mostly fictional version of America, with the weenies from the lands of tomorrow, fantasy, adventure, and the Wild West looming in the distance, it's easy to feel the weight of 50 years worth of history, especially when you look up and see all the names on the shop windows of the incredibly creative and talented people who bring the Magic Kingdom to life. We've got plenty of time to explore and celebrate it all. If Disney sticks to their usual schedule, this anniversary celebration should last at least 18 months. So let's kick off the festivities with a look at some of our personal favorite stories about the history of Walt Disney World. But first, I was wondering, to help celebrate Walt Disney World's big anniversary, you've been assigned the task of creating the newest Instagram-friendly snack for the Magic Kingdom. One that looks great in pictures, but it's a little suspect in the taste department. What is your creation?
I believe the kids are using the word sus.
I'm going with a turkey leg that looks like a popcorn bucket.
Ooh.
A turkey leg that looks...
But not a popcorn bucket that looks like a turkey leg.
No.
I like the switch there.
You've really switched it
You
up.
see what I
Subverting
did there?
expectations.
It's going to look great on the gram.
If they actually used an emu leg, you could only cut. You could cut
we
a
know
lid
from
off
last
and
week they
hollow it
do.
out, and pour some popcorn in there. It could actually be a popcorn bucket made out of a turkey leg.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a variation on the thing they have that looks like the Japanese garden, but it would be Marie's litter box.
That'd do great in Japan.
Actually, it probably would.
I was going to say that, they have those like dome cupcakes that they keep coming out with that has like the Epcot dome on top. I want to do one that's Bob Chapek's bald head. But don't worry, like if you're diabetic or you can't have too much sugar, if you break it open just like the real head, there's nothing but empty ideas inside.
It's hollow.
It's just nothing in there but just bad ideas.
That sounds great.
Receipts.
And Bob Iger hiding in there like, I'm still running things.
Would you guys remember those piece of Disney history pins?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking take that idea and a cupcake, and we can take like light bulbs from Main Street and stick it in the cupcake.
That's a great idea.
And the disclaimer that will be added on after someone eats the light bulb.
Nobody will notice.
That flavor is
Nobody will
copper.
Or they could just buy light bulbs at Walmart and then tell people that they were used on Main Street, like they did with those electrical parade light bulbs.
Paint half of one of them
You
red.
think those weren't really electrical parade light bulbs?
They plugged them into the socket and then they pulled it right back out.
There's one cast member that had that job for a
Yeah.
weekend. I was looking around. Have you noticed that one of the big trends right now is ridiculously large food items? It's like giant pizzas or
Yep.
Giant taco.
yeah.
Yes.
I saw a post on some travel site last week from a restaurant in New York. It's a Greek restaurant, and they bring a whole spit roasted lamb out to your table.
Whoa.
and carve it on the table side and just put it on a giant board. So I was thinking that they could go back to Gaston's and not only bring back the pork shank, but just bring back the whole dang
A
pig
whole pig.
and serve it to you on like a just put that pig on a 6-foot long skewer, and you've got to carry it around the park with 2 people, and you can just take a fork and Pull the meat off as you go.
They could do that.
Yeah.
You know how they grow that one watermelon in the mold so it's Mickey shaped? They could take a lamb and make it just its head stick out and the rest of it grow into this mold so that it's hideously Mickey shaped. And then cook it and carve it in front of me.
You're truly living with the land.
Living with the lamb.
When we get to the animal mutilation, we know it's time to start the
It
news.
is time to move on.
The news this week is brought to you by Key to the World Travel. Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency specializing in theme parks, cruising, and destinations around the world. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com for more details and a no-obligation quote on the vacation of a lifetime. Jess, there's some really cool things happening in California next
Yes, there are movements in California to return to normalcy for the theme parks. We just got an announcement from California that theme parks can reopen as early as April 1st under some updated new guidelines from the state's health departments.
But there's some caveats, right?
Yes, so it's not so simple. Basically, the counties that the theme parks are located in have to reach the red or substantial tier 2 risk status. But the good news is that Orange County and Los Angeles counties are expected to move into that tier this week.
They're what, purple right now? Chartreuse? What?
Yeah, they're like on the cusp. They're turning mauve. You know, it's
Yes.
And yeah, this is part of Governor Newsom's refresh on his 4-tier blueprint for safer recovery. And when they do reopen, they're going to be able to open at 15% capacity while they're in
15, 1-5.
Yeah. So there's going to be like 10 people in the parks, which is going to be amazing for those 10 people.
Yeah.
So.
And those 10 people have to be California residents, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it has to be California residents. They will kick it up to different as they hit different tiers. They'll kick up the capacity a little bit, and right now until the foreseeable future, it's just for California residents.
I'm curious how long that part is going to be. And I also wonder, did Disney kind of have some rumblings that this was happening and that's contributed to the no more annual passes? That was the first thing I thought when I saw that. Like, if it's only California residents, and
I was thinking that it's probably just because they reached. I mean, the park's been closed since March of last year. They're reaching that 1 year part where it's real easy to clear the slate of AP holders because they couldn't renew. So it's probably a little bit of both, you know?
Yeah. And if you open to only California residents and the people you have coming in have an annual pass, no one's buying a ticket.
Yeah.
There's no money coming in.
Exactly.
And California residents roll in there with their own taco bar in their pocket. To be clear, though, all this is that the California has passed regulation that say they could open.
Right.
There's nothing whatsoever from Disney suggesting that they're actually going.
No, Ken Potrock, the president of Disneyland, did release a statement and said that they're encouraged that they now have a path to reopening this spring. But yeah, we don't have a specific date.
He didn't give a date yet.
No, not yet.
It's also would take a minute probably to fire it all up and bring in a lot of
they're bringing in thousands of cast members.
Figure out how many. But this is good. It's encouraging.
Yeah, I think it's better than any of us was expecting. I didn't expect to see Disneyland back until fall. And I mean, I guess for the rest of the country, we may not. Yeah.
We'll get to do that revamped Snow White attraction too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Maybe
I have a trip for Zach. I feel like this trip was designed just for you. Mm-hmm. It's a French hotel, and they are offering a Taylor Swift package.
Sign me up.
Yeah, this thing is themed after Taylor's Champagne Problems, specifically that song, because
and Caviar Dreams.
Yeah, this hotel is in the Champagne region. It's the Royal Champagne Hotel and Spa. And they have designed this package specifically, not just for T-Swift fans, but also if you're going through a breakup and you want to listen to Taylor Swift, drink champagne, and have a trip that's all about you, you can go to this place it's about 45 minutes outside of Paris. And they're calling the package their Champagne Solutions package. And it actually sounds pretty nice. You arrive at the hotel and you'll be greeted with a bottle of Dom Perignon, just like Taylor sings about. And then in the morning, you can have a mimosa on your private balcony overlooking all of the Champagne vineyards. There's a spa, a 16,000-foot spa. They recommend a facial to dry away your unwanted tears. They have some Michelin-starred restaurants on site, and the views from this place look just incredible. The Champagne Solutions package includes a round-trip train ticket from Paris, so you can spend the day wandering the streets and eating baguettes, and then head back out to your
Only baguettes.
As one does in France.
You get a bottle of wine and a baguette and a chunk of cheese and sit there by the Seine. And
there is a downside to this package. You have to sleep with John Mayer. So
yeah, he is
listen to
also
him sing
waiting.
about your body being a wonderland.
He's also waiting for you in your room with that bottle of Dom,
making his guitar face.
Yeah.
They will also blast Taylor Swift's music in your room for you if you want.
Whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
I was just wondering where the actual connection to Taylor Swift was. I was hoping Zach could tell us. Where are they just using her name to sell hotel rooms, or?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really the whole thing is based on her song "Champagne Problems." They're just
She'll be shutting that down soon.
yeah, they're just gratuitously using her song to market their hotel.
Well, they had to do it there because otherwise the package would be called Sparkling Wine Problems.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I'm so happy.
I saw this a few weeks ago, and it made me think of you. So I saved that for you. Let's go to
For
France.
any listeners that don't know, Zach used to be her road tour manager.
Let's go to France and drink champagne and listen to T Swift, Zach.
Sounds perfect to me.
As soon as France lets us in. I need to get vaccinated first.
If you want to take a trip that's equally as epic, but closer to home and doesn't require a vaccination, a few years, we might have some luck.
Yeah, a few. We've got news that work is officially resuming on Universal Orlando's Epic Universe. So this officially paused in July of last year, and they've actually still been doing some land clearing. There has been still some movement in the past few months. But now they have made the official announcement that they're back working on it. They're expected to take several months before reaching full speed as they restaff for the project and reassemble the teams. And it's going to feature a new theme park, entertainment center, hotels, shops, restaurants, and more. And on a 750-acre site a few miles from Universal Orlando's current campus. And now the projected date, the projected date used to be 2023. Now they're saying 2025. So tack on
1 year,
1 year delay.
added on 2 years.
Added on 2 years.
Yeah. I am excited by this. I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly. I thought it was going to be a little longer.
That's what she said.
I thought it was a goner.
No, I figured they were still going to do it. I was with you. I didn't think we were going to hear about them starting up work for another couple of years at least.
Yeah.
So, but
I figured they'd started in 23, so that's encouraging. But this way, if they spread it out over 2 years, it's more spreading out over different fiscal years. So.
Yeah.
This will also allow them to JPEG it and scale it down from what they had shown before.
I know. Don't get too attached to that concept art we saw.
Is this where Super Nintendo's going to go?
That's what we think, right, Jess?
Yeah, that's what it looks like in the concept art. And honestly, with its debut overseas and it already being such a big property, I don't think we'll see that disappear. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the more easier to remove and replace properties gone. Like, as much as I want a classic Universal Monsters Land, I could see that being the first thing that gets cut if they're going to do it.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's just my son, doesn't even know who they are, and I'm a huge fan, and he's like, I don't care. So they're not going to get those kids.
The reboots they keep trying to do of the classic monsters haven't been the giant hits they wanted them to be.
Yeah, they had it all planned out with Tom Cruise and everybody, and that failed, so they scrapped it.
That was their first mistake.
I can see it happening.
They forgot to write good movies. They planned the theme parks and stuff.
Well, it's all about, we got to have a cinematic universe now. Marvel has a cinematic universe. Let's just throw everything at it. And it doesn't work like that. You got to spend the 10 years building it up. So,
or the 50 years having amazing characters and stories.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those characters were already all tied together by Abbott and Costello. I don't know what the problem is.
That's true. They need to redo that.
They really dropped the ball
They
there.
could do Kid and Play featuring all of this.
Well, they're still going to make the Brooklyn Gorilla movie from that universe.
The
So
Rock
it'll be
and Kevin, what's his name? The little short
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart. Have
Oh,
those two
perfect.
versus all the monsters. One hit.
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
There you go.
Boom.
The crazy thing is that just 2 years later, you're going to be able to visit a hotel in outer frickin' space. Tell us
Outer
about it, Heather.
space.
No, thank you.
The first space hotel they're projecting will open in 2027, and you can even buy a villa there, a vacation home in space.
Hold up. This is actually going to open before the space-themed restaurant at Epcot.
I think you're right. So it's going to be called the Voyager Station, and it's by a company called Orbital Assembly. And the thing that I think is crazy is they're scheduled to begin construction in 2026, and they plan to open it to guests in just a year later in 2027.
So I'm assuming that means they're like making stuff on the ground, and that just means assembly up there.
The whole thing will be assembled here or created here and then taken up. They have a partnership with SpaceX. So the pictures of this thing are actually pretty cool. And it is going to have gravity because it looks like a giant Ferris wheel with these pods all the way around it. And so it will simulate gravity by spinning.
Looks like the 2001 Space Odyssey shit.
Yeah.
That's
very
what's
much.
tripping me out is the fact that actually is what we're going with. Like, this is how we're doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I hope Hal is not in there.
What are you doing, Dave? But there's going to be 208 accommodations for up to 280 guests, a restaurant, a bar, a gym, an entertainment space. They're going for a high-end resort in Earth orbit, which is, I don't know, kind of cool. I want to do this. Yeah, you can buy a villa there and have a vacation home in space. Now, they say that eventually, this is the key word, eventually they want it to cost not much more than a luxury cruise or a luxury resort. However, they are taking reservations right now, and currently a 3-night stay go for the low price of $5 million.
They got a lot of corners to cut.
Per person?
Per person.
Wow.
That is
And
correct.
Does that include the transportation there?
It does.
Your
It includes
space transfers.
It includes your transfers via SpaceX's the passenger ship that they're working on, and I can't remember what they're calling that, but
Is this one that blows up on landing?
yes, this is the one that they have not successfully gotten off the ground yet. It continually blows up. So, yeah, I'm hoping that
Sometimes they get off the
those-
ground and then it crashes when it lands.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
So close.
I'm thinking maybe it'd be okay if they let it slide until maybe, say, 2028, 2029, just to make sure.
Yeah, I want a lot of people to have paid their money and gone on that trip to make sure it's safe before I go. But I would absolutely go if we can get it working correctly. They've pushed back the opening a little bit already. They were originally hoping to have it done by 2025, same as Epic Universe. Epic out of this universe. And when they first talked about it, it was going to be called the Von Braun rotating space station, but they decided that naming it after Werner von Braun was a little controversial, and maybe they would not go ahead and do that. So they changed it.
Everything in Huntsville is named after him.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's a little bit of the cancel culture lately. Everybody is learning about his
He can hardly be
early
a
work.
Nazi anymore.
They're going back with their original Hitler one, you know.
Hey, the Disney company hasn't backed down on their connection to him.
Yeah.
Still have his show up on
Disney's
Disney Plus.
connected to Hitler?
No,
No.
Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun.
It's an early version of Hall of Presidents.
Yeah, he wrote that Man in Space thing.
The Hall of Dictators.
That was going to be the Hall of Presidents for the villains theme park. The Hall of
His original dad in the Carousel of Progress.
I don't know, you guys. This thing looks really cool, and I want to go to space. So
Yeah.
I'm going to start saving now.
See, my thing is by the time I think we're all able to go and do this and afford it and it's safe and everything, they're going to be like, no, I'm sorry, you're too old. You can't go into space anymore. So
I have
close.
zero interest in that.
Maybe medical advances will have come along to give you new youth before.
Space 220 restaurant's more up my alley.
Hopefully that opens before this. Fingers
might.
crossed, you guys.
Don't
Fingers
hold your breath.
crossed.
Well, something else. Something. Jess, Epcot's new entrance.
Yes, Epcot has a new entrance. They've got a new lighting and music package that has debuted at their main entrance to go along with the new fountain and the removal of the tombstones. So this is a highly energy efficient programmable LED lighting with nearly 3,000 individually controlled points of light that blend together to create color gradients and patterns. And then they've also put this kind of light ribbon around the entire rim of the plaza that is on the monorail track. And that changes color too, and it all goes together with new music that they've put in. And then a whole bunch, they put in flags that now have the symbols from all the new areas, pavilions that they're going to be putting in eventually.
Very cool.
So now they have to do
gorgeous.
those
I've
pavilions.
seen pictures.
Yeah, it looks really great.
It looks very gay.
It does.
Can I be the dissenting voice? Maybe it
I'm
looks
here
better
for
in
it.
person, but all of those colorful LEDs just look like a high schooler's video gaming room with their LED rope lights and stuff.
Have you seen my son's room? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
Why
something
dorm
like
room
that.
looks
Yeah.
like
Yes.
Epcot.
The mouse
you know how
pad and the mouse and the
Right.
all of it.
Let's put color changing LEDs everywhere that we can.
Everywhere.
I'm sure it's lovely in person.
They changed the music too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not as much Yanni and John Tesh now, but
Oh,
I'm all right with that.
Rats.
Bummer.
I thought they were the same person.
They really
Jan
are. You never
Tesh.
see them together.
Yantesh.
They're actually Hall and Oates, but that's like their night gig.
Night gig.
they get a little edgier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's new music that is it's very orchestral and triumphant and just that's a lot. It's
Very
definitely
Epcot.
they've really basically they're hitting you over the head when you walk in the park now. So I'm gonna enjoy my World Showcase entrance.
It screams future. In
Yeah,
the future, everything
it
will be
screams.
a nightclub.
Yeah. But
I think it
that's-
looks cool.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
I also think those video game setups look cool. So.
Yeah, true.
I can't wait till they install the foam machines.
I'm there for that.
Reinstall the cool fiber optic walkways that actually kind of go with the lighting now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
That'd be cool.
They take those away.
I'm assuming so. It was in the area that they ripped up.
Yeah,
isn't it?
they're tearing up everything. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that come back, but those original lights are gone.
That technology was it's too outdated. They can't keep up.
Yeah.
It's fiber optics. That's what we're using for our internet these days, isn't it?
Oh, that was their excuse for the
Dan, you have
the
fancy
lights of
interwebs.
winter.
No, I wish I had that fancy of an interweb, but I aspire to that. Well, going from the future, looking back at some history, Zach has a new recurring segment for us. We're going to look at celebrating Women's History Month at the Disney parks.
This is my first step to becoming a recurring character. No. I'm just waiting for my spinoff. No, I want to talk a little bit about a couple women this week, and then a couple women a little bit later. We'll probably start with the one I think that most people are familiar with, at least Disney Parks fans are most familiar with, Mary Blair, who worked two different segments of the Walt Disney Company, worked in Imagineering and animation. Mary Blair was born in Oklahoma in 1911, and she attended, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, and Heather, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe it is French, the Chouinard Art Institute in Los Angeles.
It's pronounced.
No, it's I forgot to add the
Bless you.
Of course, it's no longer called the Chouinard. It's called California Institute of the Arts, or CalArts, which I know is where a lot of Disney animation artists kind of cut their teeth. Mary Blair aspired to be a fine artist, but ultimately ended up taking a job in the animation department at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Studios because the Great Depression, I guess, is a little more stable than trying to become a fine artist. She joined the Walt Disney Studios in 1940, and in 1941, she joined the studios on a 3-month expedition to South America, where her watercolor paintings and artwork result in her being the art supervisor for the Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos.
Very cool.
She continued to work on post-war Disney productions such as Song of the South, Make Mine Music, Melody Time, So Dear to My Heart, which is everyone's favorite, The
Danny the
Adventures
Lamb,
of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, and then probably the 3 most popular films that she worked on was Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan. Dan, are you a big fan of So Dear to My Heart?
Oh, I was just pointing out that the lamb isn't the lamb's name Danny?
It is.
Yes.
Danny the Lamb.
Yeah. There's like 3 people in the world.
I knew that on our ABD trip a couple years ago, and the Imagineer gave me points for that. She took a small break from Disney after working on those little films, and worked as a freelance graphic designer and illustrator, most notably for her work in the Little Golden Books. I think we're all familiar with. And then a little bit later, Walt asked Mary to come back and assist in the creation of arguably her most famous work. Does anyone want to take a guess what that is?
Creepy dolls. It's a small world.
It's a small world from the
not
1960s.
creepy.
They're not creepy. They're cute. I was just being silly.
And, I don't know. Can we even, do we credit her for the dolls? I don't know.
I mean, she designed them.
She designed the costumes to help worked on the costumes, didn't she?
Yeah, I know the overall geometric patterns and colors and all that was all
Yeah, it was all based off of her drawings and paintings. So.
her drawings.
Of course, and then the It's a Small World eventually moved to Disneyland and then was replicated for Walt Disney World. You can also find her work in Walt Disney World. In the Grand Canyon Concourse at Walt Disney World's Contemporary Resort Hotel, which is where I will be later this week, which is comprised of 18,000 hand-painted tiles and 90 feet tall, and features everyone's favorite
five-legged goat. I love him.
Yeah.
Now, real quick on the mural, does anybody else know where you can find her murals in a domestic Disney theme park?
Her murals.
Disneyland had one in Tomorrowland.
Where, Dan?
Tomorrowland?
Yeah, Tomorrowland.
And actually, isn't it hidden behind something still?
They're technically still there, but they were covered up. I believe one was covered up in the 80s and the other was covered up in the 90s. They're near where Star Tours is and Buzz Lightyear. But there are still 2 murals. They didn't take them down and destroy them. They're still there, but they're covered up. It's a shame because they're actually, I think they're her best. They're the best, some of the best work she did. You can take a look at those.
I would
online.
like to see them.
She's often touted as the artist that introduced modern art to Walt Disney, which I think we can all say that he probably went. When he took that inspiration and he kind of ran with it because he very much embraced the mid-century modern look.
Definitely.
I've got a couple of quotes from her contemporaries. Mark Davis was quoted saying she brought modern art to Walt in a way that no one else did, and he was so excited about her work. Animator Frank Thomas said, Mary was the first artist I knew of to have different shades of red next to each other. You just didn't do that, but Mary made it work.
I remember seeing that on one of the Wonderful World of Disney's. They commented on that, and I guess I'd never really noticed that before. It seems so funny that was such a bold thing to do. Yeah, groundbreaking.
moment
2 shades of
art.
red. What?
Unfortunately, the world did become slightly less colorful on July 26, 1978, when Mary did pass away. She was inducted as a Disney legend, the most prestigious honor bestowed by the Walt Disney Company, although I would argue that there's one a little bit more prestigious. In 1991, under the categories of animation and Imagineering, and you can, and I have, visited her plaque and handprints in Legends Plaza at the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank. She was also honored with what I consider to be the most prestigious honor given by the Walt Disney Company, a Main Street window. She doesn't have her own. She does share it, but she's in good company. She has a window that states Center Street Academy of Fine Art, Painting and Sculpture, and her name is listed with Colin Campbell, Herb Ryman, Blaine Gibson, and Dorothea Redmond. And she got a Google Doodle on October 20th, 2011 in honor of her 100th birthday, which I thought was pretty cool. If you want to learn more about Mary Blair, there is a book that I highly recommend that I have in my personal library called The Art and Flair of Mary Blair by John Canemaker. Highly recommend that one. Go check it out.
Don't they also have a really good children's picture book about her?
There is a children's picture book. I can't remember the title.
Pocket Full of Colors or something like that?
Yes, Pocket Full of Colors. It's a picture book, and it kind of talks a little bit about, it basically covers some of the history that I talked about, but it really dives into her relationship with the Disney Company, because I think it was published by Disney. So, of course, they're going to highlight that era of her life. One of my favorite artists, for sure. I really like her work. It's definitely stood the test of time and very colorful. And It's a Small World is one of my favorite attractions.
Even though it has creepy dolls.
And then, even though it does have creepy dolls. Let's talk about a not so creepy doll, Miss Alice Davis. She was an Imagineer that worked for Disney, also married to the famous Mark Davis. I think most people are probably familiar with. She was born in Escalon, California in 1929. She also attended Chouinard Institute in Los Angeles. While attending, she met her future husband, who was Mark Davis. He was an instructor at the time. Well, I don't know if he was an instructor while she was. Well, I guess she had to have been. The whole student-teacher relationship.
She had a crush on her teacher.
She is most famously noted for designing and dressing animated figures in It's a Small World and Pirates of the Caribbean. She got her start with Disney after receiving a call from her former instructor and future husband about needing a costume design and created for Helene Stanley to wear for some live-action reference work for Briar Rose and Sleeping Beauty. That job eventually led to her job designing costumes for Disney live-action movie, everyone's favorite, Toby Tyler.
Oh, I've never heard of that movie.
Good old Toby Tyler.
But... it's a classic. Walt then recruited Alice in 1963 to design costumes for It's a Small World attraction for the 1964 New York World's Fair. Alice did collaborate with Mary Blair to design and create costumes for the children in the attraction, so they got to work together. During this time, Alice also formulated costuming procedures, set up a manufacturing base, and developed quality control refurbishing techniques, which established the standards for three-dimensional characters in rides and shows created by Walt Disney Imagineering. In 1965, she translated the designs by her husband, Mark Davis, and made them real life for his attraction, Pirates of the Caribbean. Alice also contributed to the costume design for General Electric's Flight to the Moon and Carousel of Progress, which is my favorite. Mark and Alice did marry in 1965. She was inducted as a Disney legend in 2004 in the category of Imagineering. And she actually has her own window on Disneyland's Main Street, USA. She received that on May 10th, 2012. And it reads, Small World Costuming Company, Alice Davis, Seamstress to the Stars.
Very cool.
Should I share my pirate story, Zach?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
When she was costuming for the pirates, she complained that they had made the figures a little too anatomically correct, and she had to cut the costumes to hide their bulging packages.
Oh.
That's so funny.
But then also kind of interesting.
That was just on the redhead.
She also they wanted to go cheap on the costumes, and she insisted that they let her make duplicate sets for the Pirates and for Small World. And she came up with the whole system where she's got a book with samples of all the fabric that they use for those costumes and really detailed patterns and stuff so they can recreate them exactly as they originally made.
At least, and if I'm not mistaken, I do believe the Walt Disney Company still does consult with her from time to time, although she's officially retired.
So she's alive, I'm guessing.
Two? Nope. Ouija boards.
Yes, she is still alive.
They head over to the Haunted Mansion.
Ask her questions.
It's very complicated. Thank God they built that attraction. Well, stick around because after the commercial break, school is in session as we kick off our celebration of 50 years of Walt Disney World early with some lessons in Disney World history. When it comes to planning your next adventure, knowledge and preparation are always key. That's why a call to your Key to the World travel vacation planner should always be at the top of your to-do list when you feel the urge to venture forth and explore the world. Key to the World Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, specializing in travel to Disney theme parks around the world, as well as Disney Cruise Line, Aulani, and Adventures by Disney. With over 450 travel advisors who share a deep love for Disney destinations, Key to the World Travel has a wealth of knowledge and passion to help you experience all the magic with none of the work. Wherever your wanderlust is driving you, Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency with the expertise to get you where you want to go. So whether you're headed to Universal Studios, Hawaii, Europe, or somewhere a little farther off the beaten track, your first step should always be to visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a no-obligation quote. Their expert travel planners are standing by to help you with every detail of your perfect vacation. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com or at Key to the World Travel on Facebook. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Well, I hope you're good at tuning out annoying background noise. And if you listen to this show, then you should have a lot of practice at this. Because I thought the best possible place to record this week's discussion of fascinating Walt Disney World history would be from one of the coveted seats on Main Street USA's horse-drawn trolleys. Right up front, so you get a great view of the walking end of the horses. And of course, that wonderful clip, clop Foley effect, which is perfect when you want people to be able to hear you clearly. I slipped the driver a 20 to keep doing loops of Main Street while we talk, so let's get started.
The walking end of the horse, huh?
Yeah.
Is that the butt?
Yeah. I was going to say the business end, but then I didn't want to get into that discussion.
The party end. Woo!
About booze. Yeah, well, it could be.
Which one of us is walking behind the rest, picking up the poop?
Don't they have little
I always
catch
feel
bags?
bad for that guy. They have the Meredith from Brave come out all regal on her enormous horse, and there's the court people, and everybody's dressed beautifully, and then there's a fancy, silky guy pushing.
I love that they always wave, though. If you wave at them, they will wave back at you.
They will wave
Yeah,
back.
I always feel bad.
I'm
someone
just
killed him.
scooping the poop.
So you might get a little piece of poo flung on you.
I was the first one they call back after layoffs.
Somebody's got to do it.
Crappy work, but someone's got to do it.
And you get to be in the
magical.
parade every day.
That's right.
It's showbiz.
And if you'd like to see a poop cart, call Key to the World Travel.
Hey guys, have you ever noticed that weird dome on top of Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe? It's right above where Sunny Eclipse does his show.
Yep.
No?
I have not.
Do you know why that's there? If you do, pretend you don't.
Is that to catch the smell of the horrible food they make there? To just sort of catch it all up in the ceiling?
Yeah, they got a ventilation system out there. They also have. Turns out that Sunny Eclipse is sitting right on top of the utilidors, and that dome is right above Sunny Eclipse.
Oh.
And they can raise him up into that dome because he's on top of an elevator, and
What?
underneath him is an empty stage that lifts up from the utilidors because they used to have musical acts. They actually occasionally use them still. Yeah. Sometimes they have youth musical groups come in now and perform there.
Well, and when they
So
have
it's
the holiday
rare.
parties, that's where the DJ is, because they'll have like a dance party there. I just never really thought of that. I
yeah.
just thought they were on top of him.
Yeah, and I've seen the list of different options for the youth performing arts stuff, and I've seen that on there and couldn't figure out where they were.
So they raised him and his stage all the way up, and another stage comes up.
Yeah, he's like
cool.
on top of an elevator, basically, and there's no stage underneath him. So they raise him up from the utilidors, and they used to have weird acts sometimes play there. There were minor country stars and lots of cover bands that played there.
Walker Jr.
Willie.
Yeah, yeah, but but by far the coolest act that they ever had there was Michael Iceberg and his amazing iceberg machine. Have you guys
Was he
ever heard
into
of this
lettuce?
guy?
No.
Please tell me it was about lettuce.
Michael
Eisner.
No.
What is an iceberg machine?
Well, this dude was an early synthesizer enthusiast, and he built his own crazy Frankenstein synthesizer. There's pictures that he's surrounded by like at least 8 different keyboards and all of the different modules. Because here's the crazy thing: he was performing live with those great big like those old fashioned synthesizers where they'd have to take the cables and move them and plug them in. And there's about 10,000 different dials and knobs that he'd play with. And he rigged this machine up with bicycle gears so he could turn a crank to set all these different settings for him for different parts of the songs, and to create these different sounds. And he was actually unusually good at recreating different sounds with the synthesizer. So he could make animal sounds and different instruments and recreate them really well.
Was this in the 80s?
I could just see this poor guy like putting on this grand show where he's like running around and making all these amazing sounds, and then in the background is "Mommy, my hamburger's cold."
Actually, he performed from the mid 70s to the late 80s. First at Walt Disney World, and then he moved out to Disneyland. But so
Michael Iceberg. Huh?
yeah, and so he'd play a long set of a mix of classical music done in a futuristic synthesizer style and some original songs. He would come in, he'd be raised up from the bottom of the stage in this glass pyramid that would unfold and open up, and the inside was lined with mirrors so that you could see the keyboards and all the amazing stuff he was doing, because he wanted you to know just how cool synthesizers were. And he's nobody will acknowledge it fully, but his musical style lines up with the Baroque hoedown and the music for Main Street Electrical Parade and the Electrical Water Pageant. So he didn't write that piece,
music.
but it's possible that he kind of inspired inspired.
There is there's a recording of a full show of his from 1977 at Walt Disney World on YouTube. So you could check the whole thing out.
Yeah, he did several guest spots on the Johnny Carson show also. So we'll put some links on our page there.
Never heard of this guy.
Yeah, he's super cool in a really nerdy way. But
was it actually Michael Eisner?
The mustache.
Actually, his name was originally spelled It was Michael Eisberg, like Eisberg, but I think he changed it to sound less Semitic and more cool and imposing
Iceberg,
or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Heisenberg.
Yeah. So,
wow.
That's fascinating.
And that's my story.
I'm gonna take a closer look at Sonny's setup next time I'm in Cosmic Rays.
Well, I saw just recently on one of the Disney Facebook groups that someone was saying that COVID had ruined it and Sonny was gone, and that the stage was just an empty stage. So they probably were working on the animatronic.
Working on it.
Pulled it up, and
Sonny's
problematic.
I hope not. But he's so wholesome.
He's cool. I love all that weird stuff from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
I hate the
He's
food
great.
there, but I love
I do too.
Yeah.
I love that they included him on the D23 lunchbox. I believe he's on the artwork on the lunchbox done by Jody Daly and the
Kevin and Jody.
Kevin Kidney, I think. Yeah.
It's Kevin Bacon and Jody Daly.
Oh, how could I forget?
Well, the thing I wanted to talk about is that sort of same era Do you guys ever seen the stuff that they did for the bicentennial?
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it. My favorite is the parade that ran. It was called America on Parade, and it started in 75, and I think it ran all the way through like 1977 to commemorate the bicentennial. They had it at both the Magic Kingdom and at Disneyland, and the parade floats in this thing were just bonkers. And I wish they would bring this back. I hope that it still exists somewhere. My favorite of the floats is, and I'm not sure why someone thought this was a great time period in America to commemorate, but it's a float commemorating the Salem witch trials. And they've got a witch being dunked in a cauldron of boiling water.
Yeah, for kids.
Yeah, and
they'll be bringing that thing back to promote.
Right, exactly. And there's a witch in stocks and one being led to the gallows. And I can just only imagine being at Magic Kingdom to watch this parade, and here comes this float. There's a giant turkey being led to a stand.
Yeah,
it's
big
got a
turkey
noose
being led
around
by
its
the
neck.
pilgrims.
That's the one that's getting pardoned. Come on.
There's a float that is just an enormous sandwich.
That's my kind of float.
Like, this is America on Parade. Let's have a float of a sandwich. Like, it's so funny.
So funny.
And all of the the characters that marched in this parade, every float had them. They called the Children of America.
Children of the Corn, I think.
What was it?
Actual term.
Jeez.
That's a Dagwood.
They are like they all.
Children of the Corn parade.
They all have like. They're creepy. And the research I did says that they were at the actual inspiration for Chucky.
Wow.
Because every float had them, and they had these like
Big,
giant oversized people of America. That's what they were called.
like giant child, like almost baby looking heads.
Yeah, all of them were at least 8 foot tall with these heads. But all the heads look like creepy.
What is it with them and
dolls.
characters that they couldn't figure out how to make them not nightmare inducing until the 90s? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. They had those
actually-
enormous heads and tiny bodies.
Yeah, they reused the people of America when Epcot opened. They put them in costumes to match the country, and they all were roaming around in all the countries in the World Showcase.
it's like a scare zone in Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, it's this parade though they had TV specials of the parade.
Yeah, you can watch a film of the full thing.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that after this. I just found that on the worldwide interwebs.
It's so fun, and it was just I don't know. It looks like it would have been so much fun to work on this thing, but it was just kind of bizarre. I think they got the name wrong too. Instead of calling it America on Parade, it should have been a salute to all nations, but mostly America.
Mostly American ones. They really just
like
super
that.
love America at the Disney parks.
Yes.
When I was looking for interesting historical stuff, that after the success of they called the success of the American Pavilion at Epcot, they started looking during Eisner's big expansion period and wanted to do an entirely America themed park, which led them to buying some land in Virginia from Exxon, where they were going to do Disney's America Park. And it was, Jess, you may know, you're in Virginia, but it was like 30 miles from the actual real battlefields. They were going to make fake battlefields and do Civil War reenactments. And but some of the details wound up being kind of cool, the ideas they were going to have, but it was soundly like nobody wanted it. There were huge protests, but they were going to have, instead of Main Street, the guest would enter at Crossroads, USA. It was set in the years 1800 through 1850, and as you progressed down the road, different historical things would happen. The only cool thing was the bottom floor is like it is now, where there's shops and restaurants and all that. The top floors were going to be hotel rooms that you could actually stay inside the park.
That's cool.
I wish they would do that somewhere.
Yeah, work that in somewhere.
Yeah. But they were going to have, besides the Civil War reenactments, battlefields, an American boardwalk style theme park in a theme park, which I think we saw they put that at DCA.
Is this Inception? Yeah.
And also, speaking of DCA, they were going to have World War II flight simulators. That technology became Soarin'. And the Lewis and Clark River attraction became Grizzly River Run. So they moved all that stuff into there.
Was Lewis and Clark going to be like paddle your own canoe like they do at Disneyland?
No, it was good. It was exactly Grizzly River Run. They
like
they
an
had
actual
it fully designed and just put it became Grizzly River Run. Some of the weirdest things that they were going to. This is my favorite. They were going to have studios and theaters in there where they expected and planned to have presidential debates would be held there in a neutral territory.
Neutral
because
site
it was
of
outside
Disney.
of DC. But one of the concepts too was that this would be a vacation hub where they would put people on buses to go to the different things and put a Disney service experience on guided tours through DC and the surrounding areas.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
ABD, yeah.
Adventures by Disney.
No idea Disney really ever fully dies. They just put it somewhere else. But I love that Eisner thought that the American Pavilion was such a rousing success. He wanted an entire theme park of that.
It's everyone's favorite.
It turns out that all of the super wealthy people with horse farms down the road
did not care for it.
They want all that traffic and I mean, I get it. One of the buttons and signs that Virginia. I saw during the protests said, "Don't let Disney slip Virginia a Mickey."
Oh, that's so clever.
Because as we know, Virginia's already for lovers, so
you don't need that here.
Yeah,
I would totally visit that park.
Yeah, me too.
They need to bring that concept back. There was going to be like old timey baseball fields and all that kind of hokum that we're into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they kept changing it. When people protested the war stuff, they were going to turn it into, like he said, they had Ebbets Field and different stuff, and then airplane hangars, and they were all over the place, and then changed.
Working farm, old-timey farm and stuff.
Yeah.
I would love for the 50th of Walt Disney World for them to bring back a lot of this hokey old stuff. Like, if there's a parade, I want to see the Dunking the Witch parade and the
would be amazing
floats
if they
and
did,
the
like,
giant sandwich.
One float from each of the old things.
That'd be really cool.
Old parades somehow.
I want to see some of these people of America. They've got to be somewhere.
Bring back the giant sandwich.
Just the sandwich.
Yeah. Even things like how Liberty Square used to have where the Christmas shop is now. They used to have individual there was like the candle maker shop.
Yeah.
They did that kind of hokey craftsman
sort
stuff
of like Colonial Williamsburg.
I think what they figured out with a lot of that stuff, and it just is going away from theme parks in general, is it all takes too long, and it's just about next.
Yeah.
Or they want to charge a huge charge for it.
Right. Got to add on to it. Mine, I picked somebody that's been around since even before Walt Disney World opened, actually. And that is the very popular, still to this day, Orange Bird.
Orange Bird.
Yes, the adorable Orange Bird was created actually in 1969, while they were still getting ready to finish opening the parks.
The sexiest year.
Oh yeah,
our favorite
but
year.
Unfortunately, he debuted in 1970. So, and he was created as a mascot for the Florida Citrus Commission. In exchange for them sponsoring the Enchanted Tiki Room, because this was back when I think at least the e-ticket attractions had outside of the park sponsors. So anytime anybody complains about Starbucks coming into the parks, just do your history. And
the old Walt would roll in his.
Yeah, exactly. Everything was piecemeal sold, so it was how they opened the parks, basically. The story of the orange bird is interesting. I actually learned something about him that I did not know, which is very strange. First off, he in the orange bird lore, he used to live up north and decided to migrate to Florida for its high quality citrus.
He's a carpetbagger.
Yeah, gotta sell. And then he would come to live in the sunshine tree in Adventureland. So unlike other animated birds, and this is the weird thing that I did not know about the orange bird, he is incapable of singing or speaking. Did you guys know this?
Oh, I didn't know that.
He communicates through an orange dust cloud like a thought bubble above his head. So it looks like a thought bubble, but it's more like a fart that comes out of his head and says words and things like that.
But a citrus fart.
And so because he is constantly harassed by other birds, he's always looking for a friend. This is, I swear to God, part of his story. So basically, he's like Carrot Top. Nobody likes him, and he's always looking for a friend. And he's orange. Boom!
Orange nerd.
All right.
That's awful.
Yeah.
I feel so sad for him now.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
I know.
But
Well,
he looks like he would have a cute little tweet. Why don't they let him tweet?
yeah, he does nothing. So they made
He was removed from Twitter.
They made a book.
Like other orange
He got
colored
kicked
things.
off of Twitter.
It's
Oh,
problematic.
Exactly.
So he first appeared in television and print and radio, and then alongside the spokesperson for the Florida Citrus Commission, which was Anita Bryant, the forgettable singer. And she also narrated a record album telling his story and singing about him, and it also came with a 10-page book that I read, and that's where I found out that he couldn't speak, which is really strange. And he did appear as a walk-around character in Adventureland when the parks first opened, and looked nightmarish. He had the big.
I think you saw him, didn't you, Jeff?
Mm-hmm. He was around in the early 70s.
Oh yeah, he had the big orange head, but his body was like deflated.
Yeah.
It just was like a
just
sack.
one of those like the worst mascot you see in Times Square suit. That was like orange fur with this big obvious zipper, and then just a giant round head. Thin
Just
shaft, big round head.
But eventually he did disappear around the 80s as they severed their ties with the Citrus Commission. But during his reign had gained some popularity in the haven for weird characters that nobody likes, Japan. Japan latched onto him and loved him, so that when they opened Tokyo Disneyland, they added him in 2004 and made him part of a big holiday out there, which is on April 14th, the Orange Day in Japan. So on Orange Day,
not aware there was an Orange Day.
And they crank out tons of merchandise for him, and he's kind of like the unofficial mascot of the holiday.
Is this a made-up holiday for him?
No, this is a real
this
Japanese
something in
holiday.
Japan?
They kind of added him to that holiday because they loved
Orange the color or orange the fruit?
Orange the fruit.
What is okay?
Yeah. So
I wasn't aware that oranges were indigenous to Japan.
they love stuff. They just love stuff.
Yeah,
and
they
they're going to
just
throw a
love
festival
things,
for it
yeah.
if they love it. So, so that basically had them bring him back to the Magic Kingdom, where he...
Is that when we started seeing him again over here?
Yeah.
Was because of the Japanese?
Exactly. Around 2004, that time period, they brought him back, and now he's on the Sunshine Tree Terrace sign. He's on Sippers in the Jungle Navigation Company Limited Skipper Canteen restaurant. If you look really closely, there's a book called Native Orange Birds of the Southeastern United States by Dr. Sid Truss. So that's a little
Is that in that?
I just noticed that book last time we ate there, which was only a month or so ago. It's in that little short hallway between the main dining
Those
room
cool
and
back rooms.
And he's not just at Walt Disney World.
That
If
is
you're
fun.
in Trader Sam's Tiki Bar in Disneyland Hotel, there is a figure of him up on the walls.
There's a new orange bird sipper for Flower and Garden,
Yes.
right? It's different from the other one.
It's got little pieces of orange. And,
It's got orange blossoms on
Oh,
it.
cute!
I'll be getting
I
that.
thought it looked a little different. I'm gonna need one of those.
But yes,
But I don't even, I think it's strange because I don't think that he's in Tokyo Disneyland anymore. I don't think I've ever seen references to it anymore.
it seems from what I found that it's really only merchandise. There's no dedicated Orange Bird stuff. It's just they start cranking out more merchandise around that holiday.
You think they would love that?
I went
though?
absolutely nuts for Orangeburg the first time that we went to Disney World. I was probably 4 or 5 or something, so it was 1974 or 75. And like upon driving back to Alabama from there, back to my grandparents' house, everybody's like, what was your favorite thing? Orangebird. Meeting Orangebird, getting my picture with Orangebird. And they sold the little sipper cups that came with a thing. It was more like an Orange Julius than
I remember those.
anything, but it was just, it was in that little, it was just his head with a straw coming out of it. And I had that and loved it. My dad got pissed because we'd spend $1 million to come here to see Disney stuff, and you fall in love with a freaking commercial. So he was like so mad about
it.
it.
It's the Disney equivalent of waiting for your little Orphan Annie decoder ring to get Ovaltine sold to you.
Now that I'm saying this out loud, I remember being mad when Wyatt liked dust. I'm like, he's fake. It's commercialized.
It was the same thing.
Which is funny. It's the same thing.
That's all the stuff I typically end up liking. Though, like I love Disney movies and Disney characters, but I really like the stuff that they create for the parks specifically.
Yep.
Like Duffy
Gelatoni
and Figment, Orangebird, Gelatoni. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess
Orangebird was my favorite when I was little, and then Figment when I was older. I just thought he was so cool.
And he's so cute. They're both so cute.
Well, speaking of birds, I kind of want to talk about a really cool fact about 2 of my favorite Disney things. Actually, arguably my 2 favorite Disney things ever. Starting with Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress.
I remember you like that little attraction.
Yes, I do love
Never
that
heard of
little
that one.
attraction. So with Carousel of Progress, one thing that I really, I mean, I love the whole thing, but there's a tiny piece of history, connection to Mary Poppins in the first full scene, which I believe is the Valentine's Day scene. I can't remember. Yeah,
I had no idea.
Whenever next time you ride the attraction, just take a notice. I don't know if they're still the actual same robins, but the robins that were in the original Carousel of Progress attraction that debuted at the World's Fair were actually robins left over from the film Mary Poppins.
That's cool.
Yeah. So a little bit of history about that. So when they were creating the film, we've all seen Mary Poppins. We've seen the nest with Mary and the bird, with the robins that she holds up when she's singing "Spoonful of Sugar." Walt felt that it would be a great idea to include bird audio animatronics in the film because of the success of the Disneyland attraction Enchanted Tiki Room, which had just previously opened in 1963. The robins needed to look real, though, on the large screen, but they were also federally protected, so he couldn't use real ones. So I thought this is a great time.
Couldn't train a real bird to sing to Mary.
Let's do. But, the thing was, obtaining skins and feathers was quite a problem. So Walt wrote to Washington, D.C. to get special permission to get skins and feathers of real robins, but never heard back.
They're like, you're a psycho.
But
I didn't realize that robins are that protected that you can't.
Well, maybe they
can't
would
even
have
skin
been.
one.
I don't know.
There's like
We'll
20 of them
discuss it
out on
next
my
time.
lawn right now. I can't chase them away.
I'll ask my brother Randy about it.
So apparently at a Los Angeles museum had drawers filled with different bird skins that had been preserved in arsenic, including some robins from 1893. Walt actually contacted the museum and, do you want to guess what he actually gave in exchange to
Pickled
get the skin of the robins?
Is it
His foreskins.
monkey skins?
He was willing to pay a hefty price, but they did it for a handful of free Disney.
Oh, that's awesome. I got some tickets to this little park down the road.
It only
Give
cost me a
your
dead
robin
bird.
skins.
So
I want your dead birds. I would trade dead birds for tickets to Disney. Just in case anyone's wondering.
So they used the robins that they used that were incorporated in film. They used them. They turn around and just like Disney recycles everything. They're still using that. Remember Castle Mirror Magic float that they've been using since like the 80s.
Yes.
They're still using it today.
I had no idea that was real. Like I figured it was just, fake feathers and stuff. It's an actual robin skin.
So, they incorporated him into the 64 World's Fair. Mary Poppins opened in August of 64, and the World's Fair opened, I think, in April of that year.
That's interesting.
I think it's pretty cool. The whistling that they used for the filming is actually Mary whistling. But when they repurposed the robins for the attraction, Clarence Ducky Nash, which is, I believe, an Imagineer, supplied the whistles for the birds in the new show.
He was the original voice of Donald Duck.
The
original
Donald
voice of
Duck.
what?
There you go.
That's an apropos
Donald
nickname.
Duck.
Oh.
Well, I bet that's how I got
That
the
may be
nickname.
right.
Duck.
Oh no, that's from something else. You don't want to.
That's similar to the dog that they're trying to get to do the keys in the Pirates. That is actually the skin of Walt's childhood dog that they wrapped around that.
Well, I mentioned the monkeys because they originally, when they were doing the Disneyland Jungle Cruise, they wanted to use taxidermy monkey skins on the ride, but then Walt said, outside in the weather, that's going to look awfully bad real quick, and I don't want people saying that I killed a bunch of monkeys for my theme park, so make fake ones.
Ironically enough, taxidermied monkey skins are my favorite thing at TGI Fridays.
Gross.
Loaded
twice baked.
taxidermy monkey skin. Twice baked.
And Zach, the Carousel of Progress robins tie into someone you're going to talk about in a couple of weeks, don't they?
Oh yeah. So, I'll be back in a couple weeks. We'll talk a little bit more about some more Women's History Month, because Walt Disney Carousel of Progress is my favorite Disney attraction, and was worked on by a woman that's very significant to the company, Harriet Burns, which I believe was the first woman Imagineer that worked for the Walt Disney Company. So we'll kind of talk a little bit more about her and another famous Walt Disney woman that I know a lot of you guys are big fans of because you love Haunted Mansion so much.
Sure do. What's your other favorite thing that you were
Oh, Mary Poppins.
in all together?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
That's one thing I love about that little fact is it's a nice connection between my favorite Disney film, my favorite Disney attraction. But like I said, I don't know if they still actually use the same robins. I can't imagine why they would have replaced them unless they just
Wear and tear.
unless they stopped working. But I mean, the whole attraction has a little wear and tear at this point, so
It might need a little refresh.
but that's okay. We still love it and clap along the entire time.
Yeah. Heading into the 50th, I had a question for you guys about something controversial from the 25th anniversary of Walt Disney World.
I think I know what this is.
Yes, you know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
I would like to know where you stand on the castle cake. Are you a lover or a hater of the cake? I will say, I will preface this by saying that I think it looks like a hideous monstrosity, but I'm so sad that I missed seeing it in person, and I wish that I could have had a photo of myself in front of it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I think it was, if that had been like my one trip, I think back to, I have a friend, Jennifer, that she went on her very first trip to Disneyland back in early 2016. And during at that time, they were working on the castle for the 60th anniversary. They never saw the castle because it was completely covered up with a scrim. So I guess, if that had been my first or only trip, I maybe would have been disappointed, but I'm not mad at it because I mean, it's ugly, but it's kind of cool at the same time.
It's not as bad as when they had stitched toilet paper, the damn thing. So that was...
Yeah, I wish I had seen that in person too.
I wanted to see that, but I'm like, who thought that they were not going to get complaints about that?
So funny.
I maybe
We've saved our whole lifetime for this trip to Disney, and someone rolled
the big sign that says Stitch is king. Like, I hope you love that movie.
I guess one of the big controversies over it is that Disney Fairy Tale Weddings had only recently launched, and that was one of the big things that they promoted
during the cake part or the Stitch
before the cake part. It had just happened, and a lot of the brides who signed up to have their wedding there were not happy that they lost the fairy tale castle backdrop.
Yeah, there's no fairy tale involving a 300-foot tall cake.
The wedding of Toot Toots and Sparkles the Clown went over smashingly that year. I mean, they were like, they paid extra for it.
Maybe if it hadn't been so pink.
Yeah. It looked like a big, like blow up bouncy house. It just,
it looks like a bouncy house.
Well, maybe they could have made a smaller scale version of it and put it back in Mickey's tube.
That does look like it belonged in Toontown.
That's where it belonged. Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of what they're planning to do this year.
Yes. It does look pretty.
Subtle, but also you can tell like something. There's something.
I loved what they did for the 60th out at Disneyland. Too.
That was very pretty.
That was gorgeous.
Like the castle.
Well, I mean, with the projection mapping, like it would be really cool if like maybe for 5 minutes every night they turned it into the cake again, just sort of celebrating the history of it.
Love that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Call
the Bobs.
TM.
That needs to happen.
Yeah. What do I need?
I'm straight back at your castle.
Call me if you want it, Bob.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. I really
hope so, because that,
Yeah, the crowd would really appreciate it.
And they can do so much now with that projection mapping. It's all of it is incredible. I really loved Christmas time this past year when they didn't put up the icicle lights and they did the different projections on the castle. I thought that was so cool.
I didn't get to see those in person. I still think I'd probably prefer the icicle lights just because I really like those icicle lights. But it's nice to get a change every once in a while.
Probably projection map those icicle lights on, and then
100%.
That would be fun.
And they now have all the projectors, and I'm sure all the templates for where to map them. Putting new skins on there is probably pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what. I don't think a lot of it will happen right on the anniversary this year, but I'm excited to see the things that do happen. And we get, like they celebrated the bicentennial for 2 years.
We get this for 18 months, they've said. So they were official about it. They're like, no, we're going to do this for this long.
Yes.
That's pretty much what they did on the 60th at Disneyland, but it started
earlier,
a little before the anniversary and went
Memorial
past
Day.
it. And they're obviously just trying to go
I think
beyond.
they're hoping that the second half of the
situation.
celebration will actually be the celebration they had planned. So
I would like to see a new parade, maybe something for the nighttime would be nice.
I'm starting to wonder if they're ever going to have a night.
they really need to, especially after seeing the Maleficent dragon at night when we went for the villains party.
yeah.
Like she
Very
would be
cool.
so great in that parade at night. Just it doesn't make sense.
We need a Spectrum Magic 2.0.
No.
Do we?
Yes.
There's already rumors that Main Street Electrical is making one last trip cross country before they
finally smash all the bulbs and chuck it in.
Grind it down.
That could be interesting.
I'm very excited for the 50th anniversary this year. I know I've got my party pass. And I've got my tissues packed
Already.
And
Let's go get in line.
ready.
Yeah.
Maybe next week you could go ahead and go down there.
Yeah, just start camping out. Well, thanks for hanging out with us again this week. If you're excited to see how Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom is looking after 50 years, or explore anywhere else around the world, Key to the World Travel has an early 20th century American small town Main Street full of expert travel planners, and they're ready to make your vacation dreams a reality. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com. Get started with a no obligation quote. Don't forget to catch up with our friend, the Theme Park Professor, for all the latest theme park news and tips at www.themeparkprofessor.com. Word of mouth is always the best way to help us grow our show. If you have a friend or two who you think would appreciate our special brand of globe-trotting jackassery, tell them what makes our show so great and send them our way. You can find links to subscribe to the show on your favorite apps and all the latest updates at www.goldkeyadventurers.com. We can't wait to hang out with you again next week, and we'll see you real soon.
Little known Disneyland trivia. Flo's V8 Cafe is actually run by the Children of America.
To ask a question or share your travel story, you can reach us by smoke signal, carrier pigeon, or send an email to goldkeyadventurers@gmail.com. And make sure you follow the Gold Key Adventure Society on Facebook and Instagram. A huge thanks to our sponsor, Key to the World Travel. For all your travel planning needs, visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a free quote and help planning the trip of a lifetime. Tell them the Gold Key Adventurers sent you. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Thanks to Outer Vibe for the use of their song Hoka Hey for the intro and outro of our show. Find them on Facebook at The Outer Vibe or check out www.outervibe.com for tour dates, music, merch, and more. We'll see you next week for another meeting of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. And until then, remember, life is short and the world is wide, so go have an adventure.